32. Advantages of the Order on Venus. As such a thing was announced to the community on planet Venus by the teacher and leader, the three were awoken again by Raphael. But in the meantime it had become fairly light and only less than an hour was left before sunrise. Raphael wondered greatly about what he had now seen in a highly vivid dream. He recounted the dream, and both Muriel and Philippold were even more amazed because they had seen and heard exactly the same thing that Raphael told about his dream. But Raphael said, "Well, how did you like it on the morning star?" Raphael says, "Yes, if that was unmistakably the morning star, which I no longer doubt at all, then I liked it very much, and the people with their teaching and strict observance of symmetry are not at all stupid and must behave morally very high. For in such circumstances a sin is a sheer impossibility. But at such circumstances of life would be unbearably boring for me. Eternal monotony and no progress, that is life like an amphibian. A snail and a Venus person have obviously one and the same need. Whatever goes beyond affects neither of them. No, friend Raphael, the morning star shines very beautifully and can be seen from this earth of ours enormously magnificently. But as a world with its people and other creatures, I do not like it at all. It is probably true that at such a constitution among the people of that world, a war could never break out, since there can be no talk of even a sin. But nonetheless, a true sinner on this earth is much more preferable to me than such a Venus person with all his pure decency. Such pure decency can also have no value because besides it no spiritual perfection can take place. For if a person could become of a more perfect spirit, he would have to totally despair at the symmetrical behaviour and actions of the whole humanity of the morning star, because the inner drive would push him forward, but he would have to remain standing on one spot like a tree. A spiritually perfected person on Venus would resemble a tree that could think and desire, but nonetheless with its roots must remain firmly attached to the ground. Tell us, dear friend, do the Venus people have no spirit then? No love, no free will, and no desire? They must be able to think and count, because their teacher recommended mathematics above all in the most careful way. But if they can master that, then some spiritual progress must also be conceivable. The angel says, in any case, but they do not want any outwardly appearing progress, but only an inner one. For they say and recognize that an outer visible progress is an obstacle to the inner progress of the spirit. One should make everything outer as stereotypical and marked as possible. Organize it according to the needs of the body, but should then go no step further. For every advance in the outer and material realm would be a step backwards in the spiritual inner one. Among people who cultivate the external too much, conscienceless barbarism reigns inside. Equipped with an inner, silent spiritual progress, a nation has never enticed any envious neighbour to war. But if a nation has placed its inner spiritual size of spirit through easily performable external deeds into daylight, it also immediately awakes the jealousy of the neighbouring nation, and war is then on your doorstep. But if that is and can never be the case with these Venus people, are they then worse than the people of this earth? There, the human has no external advantage at all, neither in its form, nor in its clothing or accommodation. Therefore, everything there is only valued according to its inner worth. As a consequence of the same external formation, all people have exactly the same build, which is made even more similar through the always similar clothing than it basically is. People who are not consumed by all sorts of passions will externally look very similar, like a brother and sister. But the more the so-called external form of a person is different, the more this is a sign of inner absent-mindedness as well. Because every inner has organized itself according to the outer endeavour, which can never become similar, however, because the never satiated greed, envy, jealousy, arrogance, pride, haughtiness and domineeringness of a person sticks to it. If you are wearing a green coat, your neighbour a blue one, and a third a red one, you will soon run into quarrel and strife because of the preference of one or other colour. But if all three of you have a coat formed in the same way from one and the same colour, it will never occur to you in your wildest dreams to begin a silly, meaningless quarrel among one another about the greater or lesser value of the colours and forms. And you will have time to talk about better things and issues. You have seen the full similarity of all the people that you saw, and their physiognomy on Venus. One man looked as similar to another as one eye the other. Likewise a girl and a woman. Everywhere one and the same form, but in itself highly beautiful and perfect. That is also very good. On this earth, the difference in forms, according to the extent of the imagined greater or lesser beauty, causes not rarely the reason for quarrel, love, hate, despising, or an exaggerated external preference and tendency. But there is no trace of all that on planet Venus. The people love each other only according to the extent of wisdom. The more someone knows how to tell of the goodness, power, and wisdom of the Great Spirit, and the gentler and humbler he becomes, the greater the value and the greater the respect he has from his community. Tell me whether that is not also a highly wise organization on behalf of the Lord. Matthau says, "In any case, and I would like such an order to exist on our earth. But now the Lord is getting up, and all the people with him. Now we should keep our eyes and ears open, for there will surely be something that must soon be done. The 9 who drowned?